Why are you even listening to our conversation? Get a life.
Wind your neck in, Tracy.
Look, I just think that your boyfriend is getting bored of you banging on about what a tragic life you've got when the truth is you brought it all on yourself.
Don't let her wind you up.
No, I'm fine.
You've got to feel sorry for Kevin. He is a really good dad. Quite frankly, he's the best parent that lad's got. Hey, since she shacked up with a brother, poor lad don't stand a chance.
Abeh!
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
Hello and welcome to episode 383 of The Talk of the Street, an unofficial Coronation Street culture podcast that can't wait to hear Kirk's new podcast about domesticating dogs and debilitating depression. I'm Gavin.
And I'm still in my jammies.
Are you? Mm-hmm. Oh, your jammies looking kind of fancy.
It's a National Quilt Museum t-shirt and my pink and grey flannel jammy bottoms.
I remember the National Quilt Museum. I expected more quilting. How are you this week?
Yeah. It's been a long week, and it's going to be a very long weekend.
It is. We have a full dance card this weekend.
Yes.
Which explains why, and you won't realise this, dear listener, we're recording this at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday.
I know. It's crazy.
Because we've got a child playing in a parade again. This is a
This
big
evening.
Christmas parade.
Yes, it's the Silver Bells in the City Parade.
It's Christmas time in the city.
Yes, with the big red balls.
Enormous red balls.
Yes, that I will once again take a picture of you standing next to you and post it on Facebook saying, here's Gav and his big red balls.
I'll try not to look as fat and depressed as I did last year. I've lost weight in my head.
Yes, and in your belly.
Because my little woolly hat doesn't pop off my head like it used to do.
Yes.
It now stays in place.
It's shocking.
So we've got that tonight. Tomorrow we've got
A child's
the
birthday.
same child's birthday.
Yes. To which we are going to Texas Roadhouse for dinner.
Oh, we're going to Texas Roadhouse now?
Yeah. Because I told her that the only Chili's is in Okemos. And so she said, fine, we can just go to Texas Roadhouse.
Okay.
Which is right by the theater.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's fine. It's easier.
It's okay steak.
It's all right. The buns are good.
Good buns,
Good buns.
if I do say so myself.
Yes, she has a friend who works there now. So the other day, Dang works there. And so he brought her buns when he got out of work. So she had free Texas Roadhouse buns and butter,
Oh,
which is nice.
she's a lucky girl.
She is a lucky girl.
And then on Sunday we've got,
The Same Child Symphony Concert.
not that we're living vicariously through this child or anything.
Last child left, so
When's the concert?
I don't know. off the
Afternoon
top
or
of my
evening?
head.
Afternoon, I would imagine.
I
On
would
Sunday.
hope afternoon.
And then we've got Thanksgiving next week.
Yes, we do.
Not an enormous amount to be thankful for this year.
Well, we're still alive.
If that's your baseline.
We're still alive, and we are still well enough off where we can buy our Thanksgiving dinner and not have to worry about it.
So yes, so we are here much earlier than normal. This will be recorded and maybe partly edited before Friday's Coronation Street is even aired in the UK. So apologies to anyone who likes to write in after the episode.
Yeah,
We'll include you if you're still relevant
next week.
next week. All that said, all that housekeeping done, shall we preamble, my dear?
Yes, please.
Give us some of that Silver Bells. Corrie News.
Bye, bye, Billy.
Bye, Billy.
Daniel Brocklebank has filmed his final scenes of Corrie and is off to that great big soup kitchen in the sky. Yeah, he posted on Instagram a picture of him and Summer, whose name isn't really Summer.
Harriet Bibby.
Harriet Bibby. Yes, saying, that's it. I'm done. I'm abandoning my child forever.
Oh, this does leave somehow Summer an orphan.
No, well, she still has one dad left.
I guess Todd's still there.
Todd is still alive, as far as we know.
Correct at time of going to press, perhaps. This feels like it's been drawn out a little bit. It felt like ages ago that we learned that
Billy
was getting written out.
Yeah.
I suppose these things take a while to write.
Yeah, unless it's just throwing Jenny into the back of a cab and saying, fare thee well.
Right. I wouldn't be sorry to see the back of Billy, I don't think.
What will Den do on social media?
I haven't really seen anything of Den on social media for the longest time. I think Den had given up. Especially after Paul, Billy's role has really sort of disappeared, really, hasn't it? He's reduced to playing poker with Kev.
Right.
Sometimes.
Not all the time. Our heartfelt sympathies to Tina O'Brien and her family as she announced the death of her father this week. So,
condolences indeed.
Condolences indeed. Kind of know what that feels like, so.
Me too, but it's been a while.
It has. For you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And finally, Charlotte Jordan, our Daisy, who left the Cobbles in May, has now jumped ship from another soap, leaving BBC Radio 4's The Archers after receiving an offer for a conflicting role on the BBC period drama The Hairdresser Mysteries. So,
I wonder what The Hairdresser Mysteries is about.
It's
Who the fuck cut my hair?
It's set.
That's in the trailer.
It's set in the 70s, and a hairdresser solves mysteries.
I would never have guessed that, Helen. Thank you for your X-ray review of Hairdresser Mysteries.
Yeah. So
I didn't realise that she was in The Archers.
Yeah. So bouncy, bouncy, bounce.
So she couldn't have been in The Archers for very long.
No. And then, this other thing came up, and it was a more attractive deal. So
That must be a very difficult thing to react to if you're writing and planning The Archers, if people can just drop out willy-nilly.
Fortunately, it was the radio. So she was able to be recast quite quickly and
With somebody else's voice.
with somebody else's voice that,
Oh, is that what happened?
yeah.
Is it, or are you just guessing?
Well, the role she had in The Archers has already been recast.
Okay.
Yes. And because it's radio, I guess you can kind of smooth that over a little bit, especially if she hadn't been in it for very long.
I wonder if there's an Archers podcast out there that complains about this character having voice box version 2.
If there isn't one yet, there will be one now.
There should
You
be.
have summoned
I
it
think
into
there might be an
existence.
Archers podcast, actually.
And that's Corrie News.
That's Corrie News. That was all very timely.
Yes.
Helen, well done.
Yes. Not talking about people who were on the show in the 80s for
Or
like
Charlie Condu and these financial woes.
3 episodes.
We haven't spoken about that in a while.
No.
Kinda miss it a little bit.
I do my best to find things other than that because it seems like his financial woes are almost always in the news for some reason.
We will move on seamlessly, or maybe seamfully, to our feedback section that I like to call Everyone's a Critic. Canadian Helen writes in this week, great show as always. Thank you, Canadian Helen. And good effort for Helen pronouncing Pagliacci?
Pagliacci.
The G is silent, like in Dev's favourite lasagna. Keep an eye out for some Canadian postcards heading your way, says Canadian Helen. Thank you very much. I did check the P.O. box,
And it's
and
empty
it was a
still.
little empty, so maybe they're still heading our way. Bever68 writes, I think the show's argument would be, and this is with regard to Swain's refusal to see what's happening right in front of her face. I think the show's argument would be that due to Becky's amazing manipulation, Lisa can't see any sense. But the way Becky is written just doesn't sell that. She's more of an annoyance than a charming manipulator, And this just makes people annoyed at Swain for her newfound idiocy rather than buy into this story, which is exactly what is happening.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Bever68. Pickle Joe says, everyone here says PT for personal trainer, and I've never heard of a hurricane cocktail. Maybe it's a US thing.
I guess so.
I don't remember hurricanes when I was in the UK, but I could barely see beyond a Long Island iced tea, to be perfectly honest.
But Rita talks about the fact that she was a cocktail waitress in Ibiza or something. Someplace other than the UK during that conversation, which is what made it even more ridiculous. She's like so uncertain about all of these cocktails and then says, I used to be a cocktail waitress in Ibiza.
She's also an old woman. Then Modib writes, this week the scanning by Gemma in the shop was ridiculous. There was no sign of a barcode on that sandwich. And I was so right about Tim and New Sun and Rover's intersection on older women's seduction story. Also, if you'd just taken over a local pub with less than stellar numbers of punters, would you let Gemma stand behind the bar and scoff glassy cherries? I would drink more, but I'm going to London.
London?
Which is exactly what I replied with. And I kind of hated myself a little bit for doing it.
It's fine.
Oh, and I have forgotten to put... Oh, do you know what I've done? I've put this section under the Corrie News section of my notes. I'll leave a blank bit for Corrie News to remind me after however many years to lead into Corrie News.
You are an old man.
So what I should say now is feedback is always welcome. And thank Modib, Pickle Joe, Bever68 and Canadian Helen for getting in touch. You can send us your thoughts and I will probably read them out. Get us at the talk of the street at gmail.com, or our DMs are open at Corrie Podcast. And we love it when people write actual letters to us, send us your proper mail /postcards. I think we're okay for ketchup flavoured chips at the moment.
Well, we don't have any in the house anymore, so
Oh,
maybe
did you
not.
scoff them? They were sitting there on this desk for the longest time.
Yeah, it's just one
And now
bag.
they're not.
And now they're gone.
Send your proper mail to the Talk of the Street, PO Box 12, Eaton Rapids, Michigan 48827. Please note we reserve the right to edit feedback, but only in the interest of brevity. And now we'll podcast for coffee.
What?
Friend of the podcast.
I think we've got a new friend of the podcast.
What?
Welcome aboard, Catherine Montero.
Welcome.
What a good name that is.
That is a good name.
There's something about a last name that ends in O. Just a good last name.
It is a good last name.
I'm quickly thinking about any despicable people through history, and none are coming through with that last name of O. So I think we're on solid ground.
Franco.
Damn you, Dave Franco.
Wait, no. James Franco is the bad Franco brother. But I'm also talking about the fascist dictator of Spain. And
Dave Franco. You know, he was only thrown out, Dave Franco of Spain, in 1972 or something like that. Or
Yeah.
75 when he got, met his maker.
Yes.
And within 3 years, Spanish holiday making had already become a boom thing.
Right.
Funny that.
It
It's the
makes
70s
you
for
wonder.
you. It's the 70s.
It makes you wonder why they didn't throw him out sooner.
Let's keep 70s politics as far away from this podcast as possible. And welcome aboard Catherine Montero as friend of the podcast. Catherine now has access to, an embarrassment of riches in terms of spoiler alerts that are no longer relevant and classic Corrie recaps, which will always be relevant.
Yeah. The spoiler alerts are amusing, so they're worth listening just for that.
Oh, is that because you host it?
Well, I mean, this podcast is amusing as well. I mean, people
There we
listen
go.
to
There we go.
people listen to old episodes all the time that are no longer relevant because we're catching up on something that happened years ago, and yet they're still amusing. So people enjoy listening to them.
You heard it here first. This show is amusing.
It is.
Welcome, Catherine. Thank you very much for becoming a friend of the podcast. We very much appreciate it, and we hope you enjoy the bonus content. If you would like to become a friend of the podcast, you can sign up for as little as $2 a month at patreon.com/the talk of the street or ko-fi.com, that's ko-fi.com/the talk of the street, Or you can hit the join button on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Talk of the Street podcast. Friends of the podcast get access to our weekly spoiler show, The Talk of the Street Spoiler Alert, and our monthly classic Corrie show, The Talk of the Street Classics. And if that wasn't enough, you also get a shout out at the end of every podcast, and your name gets on the credits of the main show. If you prefer something a little less formal, you can also buy us next week's coffee by going to ko-fi.com. That's ko-fi.com/The Talk of the Street. And all our links can be found at linktree/Corrie Podcast. But remember, you can always support the podcast for free. Get us in front of new listeners by liking, subscribing, rating, and reviewing wherever you get your podcasts. I'm drinking coffee.
I'm drinking iced tea.
Because it's still only 1:20. All right, shall we dive in, my dear?
Yes, please.
Our first storyline this week is Theo No Sleeves.
Ugh.
There's a lot of this week.
Yeah, which we complained about in spoiler alert last week.
An awful lot of it.
Yeah, too much.
On Monday, now, the way that we left this last week was Todd had drank too much at the pub on Friday, and they had an important funeral today on Monday. The drinking was helped along by Theo, who was buying Todd doubles.
Right, secretly.
Surprised that Todd didn't realise he was drinking doubles.
Well,
You kind of notice things like that.
I mean, if you're already a couple beers in when he starts bringing you doubles, you may not.
And then Theo also removed Todd's phone from the charger. So, expecting to be up at 7:30, Todd is left asleep on the couch by Theo, who at 7:28 decides to put all of Todd's white shirts in the wash.
Yeah, because he's not,
Yikes.
because he hasn't been enough of a dick yet.
Right.
He needs to be even more of a dick.
So thus leaving Todd, if he does wake up, with nothing to wear. Sleep tight, princess, says Theo, as he leaves for work. At the Undertaker's, George is fucking furious as he leaves aggressive voicemails with Todd. He should never have left Todd in the pub, he says. Christina, meanwhile, picks up the slack and takes care of George's chore list ahead of the important funeral. And she goes to Todd's and wakes him up, but by the time she gets to do this, it's already 8:45. Todd is frantic, and it gets worse when he discovers that all his shirts are now in the wash, and all he's got left to wear is a blue shirt with a dinner medal. And I'd never heard of a dinner medal before.
Neither had I.
It's quite an apt phrase, I think, don't you?
What is a dinner medal?
Your food's fallen onto your shirt and you've got a stain on it.
Oh.
That's your dinner medal.
Oh.
I'm assuming.
I didn't bother to look it up, so. And neither did you, because you're assuming that's what it means.
Yeah, but I saw the shirt and it looked like it had a stain on it.
Ah.
So I am assuming, but I think I'm fairly confident in my guess.
If that's the case, then I'm like the general of dinners.
Yeah.
Highly decorated.
The Victoria Cross of spilling your dinner down your front.
I have a front that catches a lot of things.
You do. It's a pro and a con, I guess. George has got to kill me, says Todd. Christina just tells him to be as quick as he can and for God's sake have a shower because you are reeking of booze. So he's washing his blue shirt in the sink when Theo comes in. Theo insisting that he woke Todd up before he left, but Todd said that he knew what the time was, and so Theo just left him. And he laughs as he tells Todd that George will understand. But when Todd shows up at work, his shirt is half hanging out, and George doesn't understand.
And it's blue.
Yeah, it's a blue shirt.
How dare he wear a blue shirt?
I think it would stand out if an Undertaker's wearing a blue shirt.
It's still a dress shirt. Is it really that big of a deal?
Yeah, I guess when the dress code is super important in that role.
I suppose.
When he strolls up. I guess it's worse when there's more people involved in the
right,
in
and
the
it's
party.
a big fancy funeral.
We're led to believe that this is the biggest deal that George has ever had to take care of. And he doesn't miss the dinner medal either. He stands Todd down. He's let himself and the firm down, and Todd does not take this well. Back at the Undertaker's, Theo shows up and apologises for the shirts and not waking Todd up properly, and can't believe George treated him like an underling, calling it outrageous behaviour because he's a partner after all. A junior partner, Todd is quick to correct. He tells Todd to stick up for himself. And all he's doing here is just completely stirring the pot.
Absolutely.
And winding Todd up. So later, when George gets back, he's still in a foul mood, grateful for Christina's help. And Todd apologises again, but George reckons talk is cheap and throws the collection for the cancer charity at Todd to put away. And I was expecting something to happen with that was going to go missing just to make George even angrier, but it didn't.
No.
George reads him the riot act again, and Todd's had about enough of this and gives George some back chat, so George throws him out, claiming to have washed his hands of him. Christina does her best to smooth things over, reminding George that they're as good as father and son. Meanwhile, Todd's given Abeh a mouthful of snash when she yanks on his balls a bit about his stupid electric car that he's trying to sell. He's still trying to sell that?
I guess.
When he speaks to Theo later, he's in a mood and wants to let everyone calm down, so Theo insists they both go out for a run. After the run, it's 50-50 if Todd is going to throw up or shit himself. Theo calls Todd a weakling for bailing after 5k and calls him lazy, and Todd's really not in the mood for this pish today and goes for a shower. While he does that, Theo gets on the phone to George and invites him round to chat. After his shower, Theo keeps nagging Todd about his mood swings just to keep him on edge, and then George comes calling. Todd doesn't want to see him, but Theo buzzes him up. George has calmed down a lot and asks what's wrong with Todd, saying that he hasn't been himself, and he's worried about him. But Todd reacts badly to this attempt to be a father figure, accuses George of having impossible standards, and then he'll treat Todd like he's a naughty child when he inevitably fails to live up to them. He's had enough of this shite, and he quits, and he throws George out, sending him back to his own mother's house. I am so disappointed in you, says Theo.
Yeah. Like, fuck you, Theo.
Mm-hmm.
This is all your fault.
Well,
all your fault.
Well, Theo is very aware of that.
Yeah.
This is exactly what he's wanted to happen.
Yeah. I don't know entirely if he expected all of this to happen. I think he expected that he was going to get Todd in trouble and a dressing down. I don't know if he expected Todd to just quit outright and no longer have a job and no longer bringing money in. I don't know. There were moments where it kind of looked in Theo's face like he'd realized he'd gone a little too far. But then he still keeps pushing the knife in.
Yeah, I get the feeling that he just wants the maximum amount of drama.
Yeah. And to have Todd completely, entirely dependent upon him.
Oh, absolutely, yep. And cut off from his
family.
From whatever family he's got left, even though that family is George.
Right.
And his friends, which is also George.
Yes. And Sarah.
Yeah, I guess. On Wednesday, Theo has made Todd sawdust and pessimism for breakfast. Todd isn't impressed, but Theo thinks this will set him up for the rest of the day. Junk food makes the brain make bad decisions, says Theo. And he, for the rest of the week, is just so fucking annoying.
Yeah.
He's got this fake levity to him, but underneath it all, he's still sniping away and never missing a trick, because here he's going back on again about Todd's diet.
Right.
And he makes bad decisions because he eats badly and he treats his body badly. But he's doing all this under the guise of, aren't I great because I've made you a beautiful breakfast even though you don't deserve it.
Yeah.
What a shitbag.
Yes.
So he goes off for a business meeting while Todd wonders how he's got into this shite. So he goes to Neil Rolls and gets a bacon sandwich, and of course is spotted by Theo, who's meeting Pete there.
Pete!
Todd is shocked, but Theo says with Todd not earning, he's got to bring some money in somehow, so Todd takes his sandwich and leaves them to it. Yeah, don't forget your bacon sandwich, Todd. Meanwhile, George is moping in the pub. He expected Todd to show up for work with his tail between his legs, but that didn't happen, and Christina looks on mournfully. She wonders what she can do to help the situation. Back at the cafe, Pete is looking for a scaffolder, and there's another company he'll be getting a quote from. He'd rather work with Theo, but the cogs need to be oiled, so to speak, and that involves Todd not being a bitch to him and getting an invite to dinner. And it kind of sounds like Pete wants Todd and Theo to both suck on his cock. No problem, says Theo.
Yeah, it does. It does kind of sound like he's looking for a threesome.
Pretty much everything that Pete says during this exchange could have been suffixed with if, you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. Pete's a dirty bird.
He is a dirty word. So dirty.
Dirty birdie.
Todd bumps into Summer at Dev's, and it seems that Todd has forgotten he had plans with her, and now he's cooking a healthy meal for Theo to thank him for the fucking swill he got at breakfast.
He's cooking a
Rhubarb crumble.
rhubarb crumble, which is not healthy. There's a lot of that's dessert. That's like so much sugar. So it takes a lot of sugar to make rhubarb edible.
Yes, it does. When we were kids, maybe you did the same thing. Did you have a rhubarb patch?
I didn't, but are you talking about getting a stick of rhubarb and then coating it in sugar and gnawing on it?
Dipping it into a bag of sugar.
Yeah.
Actual literal bag of sugar.
Yes. And then gnawing on it.
It's good. Quite like rhubarb crumble.
Strawberry rhubarb pie.
It makes you rumble.
Very good.
Rhubarb tart sadly makes you fart. And curry powder makes it louder. Anyway, enough of the Gordon Ramsay. So, Todd promises to check with Theo to see... What's that? Todd promises to check with Theo to see when he's free to spend time with Summer. Whoosh, says Summer. And this puts Todd's nose well and truly out of joint, and Summer has to apologise. Todd's a bit of a prick here as well.
Yes.
Because he says, this is what compromise looks like, Summer, not that you'd know, because you're never in a relationship.
And then he
frigid old cow.
And then he realizes, you know, and he's like, when was the last time you were in a relationship? And then it's like, oh, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. The guy who impregnated you and raped your friend. Yeah.
Was there not another guy? There was a guy that she met in America.
No,
And what was wrong with him?
American guy. I forgot all about American guy.
He wasn't American.
He wasn't, but she met him in America.
At the University of America.
Right, yes.
America Street, America.
You're right, on Boston Common. Yeah, we never did find out where that guy was from.
But there was something wrong with him, though, wasn't there?
Long distance relationships are difficult. And also,
Oh, there wasn't.
Paul didn't like him for some reason. Paul was still alive.
That's right. Paul took against him.
Yeah. I kind of feel like that may be the only problem with him.
Oh, I'm
that
sure there
and
was
the
something else wrong with him.
Long distance relationships are hard and stuff. I don't know.
If you're screaming at us right now about what was wrong and also what the name of
The American guy who wasn't an American guy.
And if you can be bothered, the talk of the street at gmail.com.
Yeah. Or hit up our socials. You know where we're at. We've been getting so many new likes on Facebook. It's kind of weird.
Have we?
Yeah.
I haven't really been paying attention to the Facebook page.
Yeah, it seems like every day somebody is liking our Facebook page.
Oh, well,
all of
that's
a sudden.
nice, Helen.
It is nice. It's just kind of weird that all of a sudden it's happening.
Because I hardly post anything on it.
I know.
Maybe that's a trick. Just ignore it.
Ignore people and they'll come. Works for me. We're filling in blank space so you could find where you were at. You still can't find where
There's a whip noise, but... Later, when she sees Billy and Summer chatting about how they're worried about Todd, Nina reveals that he's lost his job. And Summer's shocked that he never said anything. Talking of shocked, Todd is also shocked when Theo brings Pete home for dinner. Theo gives Todd a look
served on a plate
and surreptitiously tells Todd to play along or there'll be bother. When Pete nips off for a shite, Theo says that they need the business and they need to charm Pete. So reminds Todd that he knows how to be charming and asks him to do so. So Todd plays along and he does charm Pete. But he does so maybe a little bit too well.
Yes.
Railing Pete with body stories from The Undertakers and elsewhere that Pete thinks is a delight. And he confirms that Theo has a contract and no one needs to suck anyone's cock. What a pity.
Yeah. But if they want to, he's open to it.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious because you watch Theo's face during this meal where he suddenly realizes he's not the most important person at the table anymore.
Yeah, he's genuinely put out by this.
Right.
The outrage that he's about to suffer isn't made up.
Right. And it's like, you asked for this. You asked for Todd to be nice.
And because he's nice, or
You
maybe,
get the job.
and Todd also gets some compliments from Pete about how he's in great shape and doesn't need to be exercising and watching his weight and eating
Right.
healthily and all that sort of stuff. And I also know where the glasses are kept, darling, so you don't need to tell me.
Right.
That was kind of creepy.
It was.
When Pete leaves, Todd is relieved, and Theo is fucking furious at the performance he's just witnessed.
Right, that he instigated.
He just doesn't know who Todd is anymore. Todd reminds him that he was the one who fucked Pete and brought him back to the flat. Oh yes, spin it on me, says Theo. And he goes on and on and on about it.
On and
until
on
he
and
eventually tells Todd to sleep in the spare room. And then
Fuck
calls
you.
him a fatty boom boom for eating so much rhubarb crumble. Late at night, George and Christina see Todd sadly taking the garbage out. Christina wants George to give him a chance, but George says Todd has made his bed. And so they walk on. And that was quite sad.
And Todd breaks down, crying.
Looking longingly.
Yeah.
On Friday,
The whole crumble thing confused me. Did it confuse you? Because like he had prepared it. He was taking it out of the oven when Pete and Theo show up.
Mm.
And then does not serve it while Pete is still there. And Pete makes a comment about, sorry that he's going to miss dessert.
Yeah, because he makes a mushroom risotto instead.
Right, but the mushroom, the crumble was not dinner. The crumble was dessert.
Mm-hmm.
So he was always going to make the risotto as well, one would assume, if it was going to be a romantic dinner. So why did he not serve the rhubarb crumble, which was already ready before Pete and Theo showed up? And then why was it like an hour later that he scooped it up and tried to give it to Theo and Theo made like rude comments about it? Why does it take him so long to serve something that was ready hours ago?
That's weird that you think this is an important part of the story.
Well, it bothers me because it doesn't make any sense. And yet,
The chronology of the rhubarb crumble.
yeah, it makes no sense. So, and, you know, there's this pivotal scene where Todd is wasting food by scraping it into the garbage.
I'm sorry, sir. That goes into the fridge.
Yes. Right?
You eat that later.
Yeah. If he's not going to eat it, fuck him.
And by
You eat
later,
it.
I mean immediately.
Right. And where's the squishy cream?
I need to have squishy
Why
cream in it.
would you make a crumble and not put squishy cream on it?
Are you saying squishy cream?
Yeah, squishy cream.
Squishy. It doesn't squish, it squishes. It squishes out of the container.
Squish, squish.
You've been
same
saying
thing.
squishy cream wrong all this time.
It's because I don't call it squishy cream. I call it whipped cream in a can.
My way's more efficient. And it creates a delightful image of it squishing out of the can.
Right.
And
It's
that's
a
the
little,
noise that it makes.
yeah. Nothing about the rhubarb crumble makes sense, is what we're saying.
He made the crumble while he was making the risotto. He's never going to give any of the crumble to Pete. And as soon as Pete leaves, Theo stormed off in a huff. I don't think it was a great idea for Todd to try and entice Theo out of the bedroom with the aroma from his rhubarb crumble. That seemed to be what he was doing. But I can absolutely 100% agree that the last place that any of that crumble should be getting put is straight in the bin.
Right, yes. And also, it probably doesn't have an aroma anymore because it's been sitting on the counter. It's probably cooled off to the point where you're not smelling it anymore. They're probably smelling it all the way through dinner. It's amazing that it never got eaten for so long.
I feel like we should just stop the podcast here. None of this makes sense anymore.
Right, yeah, and just go make a rhubarb crumble.
Can you get rhubarb? Can you go buy rhubarb?
Not now, because it's not in season. It's not like you can buy it out of season.
Oh, well, we best continue with the podcast then.
It's in the springtime, which is why you make pie with strawberries with it. You can't really can it or anything. Freeze it.
On Friday, Todd's already up when Theo comes home with a peace offering. Pastries, he says. But then he accuses Todd of dreaming about other men and then doubting whether he can get another job. And Todd's like, what the fuck are you talking? Of course I can get another. I don't need your help. Just leave me alone. I'll get a job.
Right.
Theo suggests that they go for a run after a pastry breakfast. And when Todd says he'll throw up if he goes running now, Theo goes off in a huff on his own, and he meets up with James, who tells him about the Weatherfield Half Marathon in January and offers to help him train, starting now. So when Todd texts Theo looking to join him after all, Theo tells him he already has a new running buddy, so suck it up. After the run, Theo takes a selfie and is full of banter with James. Todd sees the selfie, but it quickly becomes apparent that this is retribution for this alleged flirting with Pete from yesterday. Todd goes for a run with Theo. After all, and after a lap of the red wreck, Todd looks like his arse has fallen out. They descend on the pub, where Theo announces that Todd has signed up for the half marathon too, and they'll both be running for an M&D charity. Isn't that lovely, Helen?
Yes.
That's as far as we get with that.
I'm so ready for this to be done.
Yeah, it reminds me of those months when we were ready for this to be done, when it was Tim's dad and Yasmin. And I know we've drawn comparisons with that before because it's impossible not to. I know this seems worse for a whole host of reasons.
Yeah.
Worse in storyline terms, and worse also because it's Todd and...
Right. And also because let's not forget, in the beginning, this was a whole important storyline about
gay conversion.
Yeah, conversion therapy, and also a person who has grown up in a faith-based community that condemns homosexuality, accepting himself as a gay man, which was really important and a very interesting storyline because it's something we hadn't seen before.
Agreed.
And also this whole thing, about the acceptance of your family to you being gay and the acceptance of your children and everything. And all of that seems to have been thrown out for this abuse, this coercive control storyline, which we've already had in the past and will in the future. Like, I know we don't like Theo's kids. I get it.
Well,
but we should see them more often, especially since Theo now has joint custody. So they should be showing up every once in a while, one would think.
Joint custody that you fought tooth and nail for.
Right, exactly. And yet we've just thrown that away so we can continue to watch Todd get abused. And that's not any fun.
It isn't.
Not that conversion therapy is fun, but there were aspects of that story that, while they weren't fun, they were new.
Exactly. We were watching that thing. Well, I haven't seen this before.
Right. But all of this we've seen before.
In recent memory.
Yeah.
Done better.
Yeah.
It's easy to look back on the Tim's dad and Yasmin storyline now that we're out of it and accept it for a really good storyline that was well told. I guess maybe up to a point. It got a little... I mean, he landed on chickens at the end, so, everything descends into somebody has to fall on chickens at some point. But there was lots and lots of it that was exceptionally well done. The moment of catharsis when Yasmin smashes him in the head with a wine bottle.
Right.
There was aspects of it that were really good. And I wonder if we'll think the same way about this one once we get on the other end of it. It's not so long ago that Todd threw Theo out.
Yeah.
This is all in his memory very, very recently. The kebab in the face.
Right. The
whole Pete
milk
stuff.
thing.
Right.
And pouring milk over his head and said, "Oh, no, it's just a joke." What, you can't take a joke?
The constant going on about his weight.
Yeah. Which is ridiculous.
Right. I mean, if he's thrown him out recently, I don't understand why. And this is a point. I guess this is a point that either he's scared to, or he's scared of being alone, or he's very, very quickly become completely dependent on Theo. And I'm not too sure how much I believe that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when he's gone on that summer, out of all the people that he can be given some snash back to, we saw him do it to Abeh, and then we saw him do it to Summer. It's like, well, wait a minute, if you're doing this to Summer and you hear yourself and you wonder what's making me speak to her like that.
Right.
he's got to realise this is a effect that Theo's having on him.
Right.
And I think summer's more important to him than getting his hole.
One would hope. But also, on the other side of the coin, George is well aware. George has spoken to him about maybe his relationship with Theo isn't exactly healthy.
And Christina absolutely knows.
Right. It's been less than a month before, George told Todd, that he loved him, that they were family. And now he's being such a jackass to Todd, and it doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, I think George has always had this side of him that's very much a stickler to the rules and the prim and the proper stuff, and whenever anything deviates from that, he can react quite badly to it. But I do think it's been exaggerated to make this point and
a little too much.
And to force Todd out.
Yeah. And
but all this week I was just waiting for Christina to say, I just don't trust this Theo character.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much this is Theo's doing. And it felt like she was going to be the one that's going to uncover all this and be the out for Todd. But this week it felt almost like she'd forgotten all about that.
I don't know. She was, she is the one who goes in and gets Todd up, and tries to help him out a little bit. And she is the one who says to George, you need to go and speak to him, and reminds George, he's practically your son.
Oh, she does everything in her power to smooth this over, but she also has a very strong opinion about Theo that she doesn't air. And if she had aired it, maybe that would have put everything in a different light.
Remember, the last time she did air it, though, she got yelled at, so...
Since when did Christina care about getting yelled at?
I don't know.
Well, we're nowhere near the end of this, so it's going to be a tough winter. And he's going to get worse. I think we can be sure of that.
If they've filmed the final Billy scenes, it does feel like maybe we have a light at the end of this tunnel.
That at least Billy's not going to be in it.
Well, if we are speculating, as we have, that Billy's leaving involves Theo doing violence to Billy,
right?
Then one would assume that, once he has done the violence to Billy, once Billy is no longer there, and Theo is caught having done violence to Billy and is thrown in prison, that will be the end of Theo. Hopefully. Of course, this is all speculation on our part. We do not know that Theo definitely will be doing violence to Billy, but it is our assumption and the assumption of many people out there as well, I believe.
I don't know if this fits with Theo's MO, though, because Theo at his heart is a bully, and a bully at his heart is a coward. I don't know if murdering Billy is something that necessarily works with Theo's character here.
Well, he could be like a murderer the way Stephen was a murderer. Because Stephen was a bully and a coward who also murdered people.
Was he a bully?
Yes, he was a bully. He bullied Carla, and he bullied Sarah, and he bullied...
That was just good business names.
He bullied Michael, and he bullied the drug guy. What's his name? In the robe that died in the pool.
Rufus Houndstooth.
Yes. Rufus Houndstooth. Not his real name.
We must move on. We must talk about Tim's cherry next.
Must we?
Yeah. On Monday, Sally is ironing aggressively. God, seeing people iron is so amusing.
Yeah, because why? You don't have to iron anymore. You just make sure you get them out of the wash in time.
Mm-hmm. Hang them up properly.
Yeah.
She's sick of Tim biting her head off every time she tells him that he's been groomed. He reckons that he'd know if he was being groomed, but Sally points out that Trish was a manipulative woman and Tim was a 14-year-old boy, and she can't understand why he wants to be in contact with her again. Later at the bistro, Tim and Sally are taking loose kids out for something to eat when Trisha and a young man come in. It doesn't look arranged that Trisha, who hasn't seen Tim in 40 years, has seen him like half a dozen times over the last couple of weeks. But Sally spies on them and reckons that the kid can't be older than 16. And so she goes over and challenges them. It turns out this is Trisha's nephew, Rory Houndstooth. Trisha tells Sally that she should be embarrassed. There are worse things in this world than embarrassment, says Sally, you fucking pedo. And Tim is furious about this and snaps at Sally and Brody. I don't know why Brody gets snapped at.
No, well, because
Brody's
Brody,
wind them up.
yeah, Brody attempts to wind them up in a good-natured Brody sort of way about, oh, is that an old flame of Tim's? Ha ha, nudge, nudge.
At home, Sally apologises, but Tim just wants to forget about it. And he goes to the shops before Sally can nip his head some more. On the street, he sees Trisha, who was wandering about looking to shout at Sally. She was just on the street waiting for Sally to appear so she could shout at her. Mm-hmm. Tim sends her on her way and doesn't seem 100% certain that Trisha isn't a wrong one after all. If only, Helen, we had access to his thoughts.
If only.
But sadly, that only worked last week.
No.
And only for half a Wednesday.
Yes. And also, if we had access to Tim's thoughts,
Oh, you're going to say something uncharitable now.
I think we'd be hearing a lot of crickets.
Oh, boo. Sally suspects there's foul play in the bistro and she goes over and challenges it.
Yeah.
And she says to the boy, now you can tell me.
Yeah. If you are
Wink.
unsafe, you can tell me.
Wink if you're under duress here.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's my fucking auntie, and who are you?
Right. But
we're led to believe
also-
this is just coincidental.
But yes. But also, well done, Sally. It's only a shame that more people don't do this. Because then we'd have a lot fewer Epsteins in this world. One would hope.
If people were challenging strangers in restaurants more often.
Yeah, with significant others younger.
With their grandchildren.
Right. Well, no. But if...
I don't want to live in that world, Helen.
It's terrible that this storyline just happens to coincide with, like, things that are going on in the real world that we are exposed to constantly.
Yeah. I think it's fair if you know that the person has been a groomer in the past.
Right.
I don't think people should be going up to random people in a restaurant and making these claims unfoundedly. Sally has at least something to back her claims up with.
Right.
Like what's happened to her husband 40 years ago.
Right.
It was never going to be anything, though.
No, of course not. It was just a way to embarrass Sally and to make her doubt herself a little.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
I just can't get by the number of times that these people are bumping into each other after
yeah.
40 years.
Right, exactly. Although there is a little bit of Trisha intentionally lurking around to maybe see Tim. It is also weird, and Sally was not wrong to call Tim out for being on Trisha's socials and flipping through pictures of her on the internet. Because it's like, Tim, what are you doing?
It's weird, but I think he's trying to deal with it.
Yeah, but then he bites her head off about it.
Because he wants to deal with it on his own.
Or he wants, but, you know, it also seems like he would like to ignore it and pretend that it wasn't anything. Which makes it weird why he would be...
I still think he's trying to figure it out. And when we saw his reaction this week to her in the street, I think that backs up what I'm thinking. Or it makes me a little more convinced of this. That he doesn't know how to think about it, and he doesn't know how to deal with it. And he's really, really struggling. And it's all contradictory, and it's also forcing him to reevaluate something that happened a really long time ago that he thought was one thing that everyone is telling him now was something else. And it's like his memories aren't reliable anymore.
Right. And there's also a point when you acknowledge to yourself that something happened to you in the past, then you have to reevaluate everything that happened afterwards.
Right.
And how this terrible thing that happened to you has affected everything else.
Yeah. If this isn't right, what other things do I have in my past that I assume are fine that aren't?
Right. Or, you know, acknowledging that this thing that happened in the past has affected the way that all of my other relationships have gone, and how I've chosen to be in these particular relationships or not, and how I maneuver through the world, and how I treat other people, and how other people treat me, because even if they're not aware of it, my behavior has been affected.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's a huge can of worms here.
Seriously. All right, we'll move on to our next story, Kit on the Move. Just a few scenes on Monday about this, Helen. Just a few scenes.
Just a few scenes.
On Monday, Kit's moving in with his Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, making it clear that Harry has to keep his fucking mitts off them.
Right.
Some of them are boxed.
Yeah, it's just Donatello, though, which is the right answer.
Sarah suggests that they take advantage of the new living arrangements by getting their hole noisily. Afterwards, their cosy afternoon is ruined by Brody, who apparently just shows up to see Kit now, slaps his feet on the coffee table, takes over the TV, and orders Sarah to make him egg and chips, despite the fact that he's just eaten at the bistro in another storyline, the greedy prick.
Yeah, he shows up, but he shows up there because he's had this altercation with Tim. Mm-hmm. So he goes to his other dad.
Get some egg and chips.
Yeah.
Off of Sarah.
Yeah. Who
He's looking quite French on Monday.
Who, in defense of Brody, she's the one who says to him, well, I've got some oven chips in the freezer. Mm-hmm. Shut up, Sarah.
Yep. I've got no food.
I've got no food, and we don't have cable, so get the fuck out.
Right. That's all that happens there. Let's move on to Meet the Driscolls. On Monday, Will is in a much better mood this week than he was last week, now that he's getting his hole off of Megan in an M postcode. Maggie is in a good mood too, and suggests to Eva Cakes that they go to get pampered at the salon. Eva's suspicious about this, but it turns out that they have a grand old time, even if Maggie can't resist going on about Eva's crow feet and saggy old neck. Afterwards, they drag Audrey to the pub for a drink on the house, Maggie saying that time spent with Eva was just what the doctor ordered. Eva had a lovely time too, but wonders if Maggie had a bang on the head. Privately, Maggie reveals to Audrey and Bethany that she hates Eva and is just keeping her close to keep an eye on her. Audrey says that she stopped caring after Gail's third marriage.
Right.
Superb.
Yeah. So,
Mother of the Year again, Audrey. Well done.
Yeah. So, Ben and Eva are not actually married.
No.
They have no legal obligation to one another.
No.
And he bought her a pub.
Yes.
With her name on the pub and her name over the door.
And his mother's money.
Yeah. So
it's the Irish way.
So she can dump his ass and kick him and his mother and his annoying kids out.
Just his mother.
You don't want to get rid of Will and Ollie? You hate Ollie.
I don't mind Ollie anymore. I do hate Will, that's true.
Is it because Ollie's gotten a haircut this week?
And Will so desperately needs a haircut. What the fuck is that on his head?
It is terrible. Such a terrible child.
Yes. I like Ben.
I do like Ben. I like Ben too.
Eva's kicking him nowhere. Apart from into the sack.
Yeah, but still, I was kind of surprised when Maggie's like, oh no, they're not married.
I think I knew that they weren't married.
Wait a second. Why are we making important, huge financial decisions with one another?
I think I knew that they weren't married
not married.
Because Ben's last name is Driscoll and Eva's last name is Cakes.
But then again, Nick and Leanne weren't married when they co-owned the bistro together.
Just business partners.
Right, who were sleeping with one another.
And didn't that come back to bite them on the arse?
Right, yes. So you'd think, people in the neighborhood would pause before making important financial decisions with somebody they're sleeping with but are not legally obligated to.
They make strange bedfellows, Helen. I don't know what that means. I just wanted to say bedfellows.
But still, you would think that, Ben would wind Maggie's neck in a little bit here saying, shut up, because she could kick us both out if she wanted to.
Who knows what the finer details of this contract look like. On Wednesday, Will and Megan are in the pub after a strenuous workout. Ben wants to make sure Megan is working him hard, and there's lots of other vague innuendo. Will is planning on dogging the rest of the school day, so they go to Dev's where Daniel sees a blonde woman who might fit into one of his many cardigans.
A short blonde woman. Exactly his type.
And he manages to get her number on the pretense of seeing if there are any teacher vacancies for her at school. Gemma's wig throws him some tissues. You're going to need them, she says. You've just spunked in your pants.
She says to wipe the drool off, which is more friendly for watching television at 7:30 in the afternoon.
I'm wondering
evening.
why Gemma has a box of tissues under the counter. What's Dev been up to?
That counter is very cleaned off. Did you notice that,
No.
like, all of the junk that's usually on that counter, you know, the little freebies or the things, the basket of kiwi fruit are no longer there. And also, why is Gemma working in there? Why is Gemma scanning things?
I'm not sure. She
Why
just
is her
turned up.
feet up on the counter?
She's working there and she's working in the pub.
Right.
Does she work at the kebab shop anymore? I don't think so.
Yeah, when did she start
I
working?
don't remember her serving at Dev's before.
No, never. Then again, Evelyn
But
is gone.
Summer's been serving behind the counter. but
Yes,
at
they
least
did
Summer
hire
said to
Summer.
Addy.
Yeah, they hired Summer
Quite
to
like
take
Summer
over.
behind the counter.
Yeah, but why just throw somebody behind the counter and not explain why they're there when we know they don't work there?
It's family, isn't it?
Well, this is something the show does all the time, where somebody comes in and is being served, and then the person serving them, something happens that they have to leave quickly, so they throw the apron at the person
Who doesn't know how to work
who
a till.
doesn't know how to work anything, who's not legally allowed to work there. Just
What,
here.
like an asylum seeker or something.
No, like somebody who has not been trained in like the safe way to boil something in the fat fryer at the kebab shop, There's
Okay.
training that has to go on there.
Sure. I'm not sure it's legal, though.
Yeah,
Outside, Will is
still
pissed.
it's weird.
Sure. Outside, Will is pissed off and jealous that Daniel is clearly interested in Megan, and she didn't put him off. She calmly explains that everything she does is for him, and if Daniel can get her a job at Weather High, that'll get them closer together. But later, after dropping Will back at the pub, she spies Daniel in a booth reading a book on his own and goes over to keep him company and tell him her preferred size and cardigan.
Yes, but also she does so after Gemma makes weird noises at her and does the eyeball thing.
Right.
Because for some reason, Gemma is really invested on whether or not Daniel gets shagged.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. I also don't know why she's eating a jar of cherries behind the bar.
No idea.
It's like, all right,
Daniel definitely fancies his chances here as this storyline comes to an end for the week.
yes.
It was an attempt at being smooth and Dev's. Ugh. Oh, my skin was crawling.
And then, of course, reading a book in the pub. I have read books in pubs
Oh, who
before.
hasn't read a book in a pub?
Right. Apparently now, though, it's a sign that you're desperate for attention and to look pretentious.
Oh, yeah, because looks like we've got a book reader here.
Yeah. I read books in pubs so guys would leave me alone.
And it worked.
Sometimes. As I may have mentioned before, I have gigantic food catchers.
Oh,
So
I don't
sometimes
think I've ever heard breast be described as something quite as unappealing as that. Food catcher.
well, because we were talking about
I
stains.
know what we were doing. I have a memory, and occasionally it works.
As does my boobs. To catch food. To save for later.
That's what I use my testicles for.
Don't I know it?
Get some baby corn down there. And
Oh, no, not baby corn.
I hate baby
Not
corn.
any sort of corn. Why would you mention corn that close to your anus? I was thinking, like,
Sorry, peanuts then.
no! I was thinking like M&M's or something.
Yeah, you'd eat them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd eat M&M's that had been on my testicles.
Yes.
You wouldn't eat peanuts or
because
sweet corn.
Because that could be shit.
I'm wondering if this is going to make the cut. We'll find out together. I do quite like this. I mean, this is a horrible storyline, and I don't like any real part of the Will Megan thing.
No.
But Daniel having an interest, and what Daniel wants, Daniel gets.
Ugh.
A relationship being struck up there that Megan perhaps enters into, basically to keep the
Suspicion.
the heat and light off. I can see that happening.
Right, yes, but I can also see Will not being mature enough to accept that and it being the thing that blows this whole thing wide open.
Yeah, and then that gives Daniel a fantastic opportunity to be incredibly sanctimonious.
Oh my God.
Oh, one can imagine the speech.
Like he doesn't have enough already.
Right. All right, next up we got Shona Up the Duff. On Monday, David learns that Shona's health kick is that David is also on a health kick. Also, he hasn't changed his mind about the termination, but hasn't written off changing his mind, which Shona looks on as progress. In the pub, David does us all a favour by asking Ben why he and his mum don't have the same accent. It seems that Maggie moved up north. Shona catches him in the pub, furious that he's having a beer when they're supposed to be on a strict health regime. She drags him home for a butternut squash salad. Ugh.
Ugh.
Back home, David wants to tell the family what's going on so that they can help and support them, but Shona's a hard no on this and doesn't want to be treated differently. On Wednesday, David and Shona are shopping healthily at Dev's ahead of their latest hospital appointment. Gemma's wig enters into low-key baby talk, and Shona's keen to know how she dealt with Alad being deaf. Gemma's wig says that they took advice from experts, and now that he's thriving, and that's great. Now stop asking me questions about it. At the hospital, the specialist tells David and Shona that they can't tell if the tumour is cancer, and it's usually benign, but they won't be able to tell without a biopsy, and Shona's pregnancy will need to be monitored weekly. This is serious shit.
Yeah.
David toys around the termination conversation again, but Shona shuts that down immediately. At the bistro, David is worried that he and Shona are hearing different things from the consultants, and when Toya presents them both with a musical mobile, David blurts out that the baby has a tumour and might not make it. He explains everything they know while Shona sits and fumes, and she eventually storms off, and Toya and Bethany go after. And then there's maybe a tonally ill-judged, partly comedic scene that rapidly cuts between David sitting with Nick and Shona sitting with Bethany and Toya as they say things that are similar.
I didn't find that comedic at all.
I think it was meant to be.
I don't think so. I thought that was actually very well done. Where
She's
you
going to
realize...
kill me. I'm going to kill him.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, that was meant to be light-hearted, I think.
I don't think it was, because they are genuinely feeling these ways, because he is recognizing that blurting it out like that wasn't the right way to do it, and she's expressing her anger about it. But then they both, I think it was meant to mirror one another, and there's lots of other things that are said in this conversation that mirror one another. But I think it's really good because it acknowledges the fact that while he didn't do it the right way, this had to happen because this allows them to talk to other people frankly about this, which allows them to recognize things in one another that they weren't able to recognize when it was just the two of them talking these things through.
And normally how they would do that is there would be a scene with David, and then a little later on there'd be a scene with Shona. But what they did here was they spliced it up and they cut it, and they had fast cuts between one and the other. So I think they were going for something more than just the surface level conversation.
No, yeah.
But yes, they get pragmatic advice from the people that are listening. So when David gets home, they both understand each other's positions a bit better. And then the baby kicks. And I imagine the baby kicking is probably going to be the thing that turns David around.
Yes.
And that's as far as we go with that.
I thought that was good. I felt like that was the split screen with them talking aloud, I felt was far more effective than the internal monologues last week.
Yeah. It wasn't really a split screen, though. I'm glad it wasn't a split screen, but it was very quickly.
Yeah, back and forth.
Back and forth.
And saying similar things.
Yeah, I managed to write about 1,000 words about the internal thoughts thing and why it was...
Terrible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And normally I try and disagree with myself and see both sides of it, but I really didn't see what that added other than the gimmick, because nobody was really thinking anything out of the ordinary.
No.
The only thing that was out of the ordinary was the severity at which Shona thinks passive-aggressive thoughts towards everybody. That was the only bit that took me by surprise.
Right. And also felt out of character.
Mm-hmm. So, it's not quite a unborn baby cancer storyline yet.
Yeah. But it's close enough to cancer baby.
Mm-hmm.
It's the maybe cancer baby?
There's
And
a
even if
definite
it's not-
question mark there.
And
yeah.
even if it's not cancer, it is something
There's
that is
something wrong, yeah.
threatening the baby's life, which in turn is threatening Shona's life.
Mm-hmm. I must admit, I think Shona's response to this, now that she's made it and is sticking by it, it's hard to argue against. This is her decision, her body, etc. And
I think
the baby is inside her, and that's going to be a huge, compelling argument.
yeah,
So I can
But-
I can see it. I can see her being like this.
but at the same time, it also feels like she's being intentionally obtuse and naive about the risks to her own person.
She's certainly burying her head in the sand.
Yes.
And maybe if she just admitted to David that she understands the risks, then that would go a long way.
Absolutely.
Next storyline, I really enjoyed this one. Little Free Roy.
Yes. Although it's not quite, because it's inside.
Yeah.
And it's just a shelf that's taking up space that people eat on.
There used to be leaflets, I think, that were there.
Yeah. Where
On
are they going to
Wednesday-
put the leaflets?
On Wednesday, Nina's got Roy a gift. It's an IRA balaclava to keep him warm when he's out and about looking at bats and and phoning in bomb alerts. She speaks to Summer later about sending a card to Asha, and they talk about how they wish that she'd let them see her, because apparently Asha doesn't want any visitors.
Yes. Let's all remember this.
Next week.
Yes.
Then Nina notices that Roy looks like he has sand in his underpants whenever the postman arrives, and so she eventually quizzes him, and he reveals that he's been corresponding with 3 prisoners. He's been a prisoner himself, he understands how lonely that is and how correspondence lifted his spirits,
Yes.
and he wants to do the same for other people.
Which is very nice and very Roy.
Nina was not expecting this as a response, but Roy sees this as a lifeline to these people. He refuses, though, to go into any details about the specifics. On Friday, at the cabin, Brian has somehow caught wind of Roy's new pen pals. Brian approves, thinks that it does good, but Roy says it's not entirely an altruistic act, and he gets something out of it too. The high he gets from sniffing stamps. And he's also writing to one of the prisoners' mothers. He just throws into the conversation.
Yes.
Later, Roy is full of project plans today, and he ropes Ed into making him a box for a little free library box in Nina's rolls, and Ed agrees to do this for free. Just you wait, Roy, to the constant vandalism and then complaints from the far-right Christian groups about there being books about Pokemon in there. Kirk is quick to deny his books about Pokemon, and Summer thinks it's a great idea. Roy reveals that he got the idea from a fellow cafe owner who said hers has been a great success. Ooh, says Nina, and her radar lights up. Who's this lady friend? You would know her, says Roy. She lives in Canada. Brian reveals to Nina and Summer that he suspects the lady friend might be the prisoner's mother that he mentioned earlier in the episode, because that would be why that was in the script.
Right, yes. And then Nina gets in a little tiff that Roy told Brian and not her about the prisoner mother.
Yeah. That's as far as we get with that this week.
Yes. And she asks Ed, she says to Ed, why didn't he tell me? And Ed's like, I don't fucking, why would I know? Why are you asking me?
Can we know?
And And Roy and Brian have a very long argument about where a copy of On the Road by
goes.
Jack Kerouac goes. If
Is
it
it
goes
travel?
into
Is it
travel
fiction?
or is it go into fiction? And I enjoyed that.
It's fiction.
Yeah. But it is a travelogue as well.
Yeah, a fictional travel log.
Yeah. About real places in the American West.
Oh, it sounds like you would put it in travel then.
No, I'd still put it in fiction.
Yeah, that's what I thought. We saw glimpses of old Nina in here this week.
And yet she's never looked less goth
Right.
than she does right
never
now.
looked less goth. But
Which was annoying.
there was something about the delivery of the conversation with Roy that had a little bit of a Nina spark to it
Right.
that I thought was wonderful. When she's quizzing Roy about the lady friend and she's clearly quite agitated in a delightful way about it. I thought that's something that we haven't seen in Nina for
A long time.
for ages. And maybe we saw a little bit of it with the acid stuff, but that was more summer. That
Yeah.
was the box office and that
Right.
story.
Yes, and then that turned horribly for Nina.
But Nina in Nina's roles this week was super.
Yes.
Because we've had years worth of Nina, and you're like, remember when Nina was like the rising star of the show, when
Yeah.
everything was kind of going through her, and
Everything's
it
coming
was
up,
great.
Nina.
and then they just left her for years,
And then they just like threw her in traumatic storyline after traumatic storyline and then ignored her existence.
yeah, I thought she was really good this week.
She was.
And she bounces off Roy so well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed this. I wonder what dark paths Coronation Street's going to take us down
Right, yeah.
with Roy and prison pen pals, because
And-
one assumes one of those prisoners is going to get out
Or
and
the-
Roy's going to put them up, and it's going to be horrendous.
Or the prison mum is going to like con him out of money or something.
Right.
Yeah.
But at the moment,
At the moment, it's delightful.
and it's maybe one of the lighter stories of the week. It's a fairly dark week all in all. But this was great. I loved it. I need to see more of Nina having this vitality about her and spark. It's so noticeable when it's not there, but all of this week it was fantastic. Our penultimate storyline is the lonely grave of Tia Wardley. On Friday, Swain and Carla have the day off, and Carla is using this as an excuse to give Swain flowers and announce that she has plans for the whole day. But then, like the proverbial bad penny steeped in human excrement, along comes Becky to criticise Carla's choice of flower.
Yeah.
Remember when I got you tulips from Amsterdam?
Right. Yeah.
Oh, fuck off!
Tulips are her favorite flower.
Tulips from Amsterdam, Becky?
Well-
a little on the nose, don't you think?
Tulips after we took that nice vacation in Amsterdam. Don't you remember? Fuck off. And that's from someone who's not only of Dutch ancestry, but also loves tulips over roses.
She and Betsy quickly leave. Later, though, Carla is quickly disturbed by a call from Sarah about the fucking cops showing up at the factory wanting to speak with her. Carla is being accused of fraud. Carla gets a bit arsey with the copper who's trying to take her to the station and reckons this is Becky's work, while Swain looks on and makes a disapproving face. At the station, Kit pops in to see Carla and she tells him of her suspicions of Becky, but he tells her that the paperwork on the fraud is actually pretty detailed. Doesn't maybe sound like it could be something Becky would have pulled.
Right.
Costello suspiciously sticks his head round the door and calls Kit out. When Kit comes back, he tells Carla to go. She's not going to get questioned, and this just cements her suspicions that this is Becky's doing, and Kit pointedly refuses to confirm or deny, so this obviously makes her even more confirmed.
Right. Yes. And also, we're just going to not tell Carla any details, any specific details about this fraud other than accusation, other than to say, oh, it's quite detailed. We're not going to give her anything.
No.
We're not going to tell her, which she is within her rights. She's not within her rights to know who made the accusation, but
Of
she's
course not.
within her rights to know what the accusation is.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't give her anything.
Right.
And she doesn't push back on that so that other things can happen.
Yeah. Yes.
I hate that.
Which I'm going to talk about now.
I hate it.
So later, Swain goes into work and speaks to Kit and Costello, unaware that Carla has already been released, and also unaware that this has nothing to do with Becky. It was Eli what done it, the guy who was sexually harassed by Sarah a few weeks ago.
Yes.
Carla doesn't know. Ruh-roh. And Carla's home.
Why couldn't you guys tell Carla this when she was there? We need to be mysterious about this, but we're going to tell Lisa, like, with barely any prodding.
Yeah, and obviously Swain's going to tell Carla.
Right.
I don't know if they're ever allowed to tell who made the accusation.
No. But, like I said, some detail would have prevented Carla from doing something.
And the something that Carla's doing when she's home, she's called Becky in her minging jacket around so that she can make the accusation face to face. And she's grabbed Becky by the scruff of her minging jacket, and she's about to lay her out when Swain bursts in and reveals it was Eli what grassed her up. Oopsie. Becky leaves, and Swain is very disappointed in Carla and follows Becky. So Carla goes to Nina's Rolls and calls Ryan away from his discussion with Kirk about Kirk starting a dog podcast. A dog cast? Yes. Carla explains the situation with Becky and how she's been gaslit. Ryan agrees that she's been manipulated, but she's playing into Becky's hands. Then she's manipulated by Betsy, who comes in looking for trainer's money. Meanwhile, Becky, who is supposedly in fear for her life, is lounging in the community garden, looking at holiday photos of her and Swain without a care in the world, when Swain comes along and tells her that all of this has to stop. What, me loving you, says Becky? All of it, says Swain. And she calls her a stalker. Becky doesn't like this and storms off. And Swain looks upset that Becky's storming off
and
again.
And stalks off.
Yes. I think this was fairly important as well, that Becky has now come out and said that she still loves Swain.
Right.
She hasn't said that before, I don't think. She's made it clear, and she's made it clear to Carla that that's the case, but I don't think she said it to Swain before.
I thought she said it to Swain in the bathroom. You know, when Christina overheard all of that.
She did say that she wanted her back and all that stuff, didn't she? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which
hasn't... But it was the L word, though.
Which hasn't arisen yet. When we expected that this was going to arise, the fact that Christina is well aware that they're not related.
Right. God, Christina's got all the info.
I know. They're really getting their money's worth out of Christina.
If only she'd use it for good. So Carla gets home in an apologetic mood to Swain, says that she only went after Becky to get her to stop causing trouble and to tell her to fuck off. Carla promises to keep a lid on her temper until that happens. And that's as far as we get with that this week.
Another storyline that I just want to yeet into the sun, as the kids say.
To yeet?
Yes.
How are we spelling that?
Y-E-E-T.
Oh, yeet.
Yeet.
Does that mean hoy?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
To hoy the storyline into the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't quite have the power of yeet.
It depends where you go up, I guess.
Into the sun.
I think most of my thoughts in the storyline are embroiled in how much I hate Becky. It's difficult to separate that from the noise that's happening outside.
Yes.
There's somebody mowing their lawn.
Somebody blowing their leaves.
Is that what it is?
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, it becomes more and more difficult to watch this happening and think that Carla's not about to say, this just isn't worth it. And just, do you know what?
Yeets them all into the sun.
You sort this out.
Yeah.
And once you've sorted it out, you come find me.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens then.
And by sorting it out, I mean all of you get the fuck out of my house.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Because the longer it goes on, I mean, we saw some aspects of it, I guess, this week where Swain does tell Becky to get to fuck, but she needs to be doing that more often.
Yeah.
More consistently.
Yeah.
And with increasing anger.
Yes.
Because when she doesn't, it makes it very obvious to Carla that there's still something there.
And not to be every single time duped by something Becky does immediately after Lisa putting her foot down. Like the, oh my God, they're after me again. I need to hide out here sort of thing.
All right. Moving on, our final storyline this week is Sucks to be a Webster. On Monday, at Ina's Rolls, Roy gives Abeh the beginnings of a train set for Alfie. Isn't that nice?
Yes.
She announces that Alfie's got a fever,
He's just giving away trains left and right, isn't he? He gave one to Tyrone last week.
He's got a fever, so needs to be picked up from nursery, which means that she'll miss her therapy session. Roy wonders why Carl doesn't look after Alfie for an hour or so, the lazy shite. And Abeh says, you know what? You're right. But at the Rape Hotel, Carl says that he's working and asks if someone else can pick him up. Sighing heavily, Carl reluctantly agrees. Back in Ina's Rolls, Carla is useless with Alfie, as he's getting texts from work, so he fobs him off on to Kev to look after. And later, when Kev hands Alfie back to Abeh, he doesn't miss a trick, explaining how Carl dumped the kid on him, and Abby's fucking furious, but when she confronts Carl about it, he plays it down, says it doesn't matter who looked after Alfie, and he's trying to keep on top of the hotel for Debbie, and he doesn't look like he appreciates the fuss Abby's making about this. He accuses Kev of stirring the pot, which is half true. So once again, Abeh apologises. On Wednesday, Abby's talking to Carl about Alfie's fever, and Carl could not care less.
Nope.
Barely aware of what they're talking about. Who's got a fever now? Abeh calls him out on this again, saying that he looks like a caged animal, but he insists that he's happy and he's just consumed with work. He promises he'll make it up to her by shagging her later, but as soon as her back's turned, it's clear he'll be thinking about James the whole way to the Billy Mill roundabout and back.
Yikes.
So, when Abeh comes back from a trip to the chemist or whatever, Carl has got some candles out and they winch noisily
Yes.
for ages.
Ugh.
Carl apologises for being distant. Abeh goes off to slip into something more comfortable, and Carl dinges a call on her phone. The call, though, was from the nursery. So it's Kev that ends up picking Alfie up and drops him at the precinct flat, and when he sees that they couldn't answer the phone because they were getting their hole, Kev is fuming and announces, you know what? I'm going for custody of Alfie because Abby is clearly not a fit mother.
Fuck off.
Really, Kev.
I'm going to go after custody of this child that I'm not biologically related to because you're an unfit mother. While I sit in my pajama bottoms eating chips and playing poker and watching Real Housewives of...
Weatherfield. Oh, no, that's what we're watching.
That is what we're watching.
Later, Abby wonders if Kev has a point given her track record with the twins, little and large, and she can't even remember putting her phone on silent. That's because Carl did it.
Right?
He gives her a hug, promising to fight Kev all the way, while maybe wondering if Kev could really get his hands on the brat full time. That would clear the path. On Friday at the Rape Hotel, Carl is striking deals with suppliers, saying that everything goes through him now, see?
Ugh.
Abby arrives and he feigns interest in Alfie's health again. Jack's back from his one-legged football camp, and he and Kev are back to ignoring her. She's upset about this, so Carl decides to cheer her up with a boozy lunch, and they winch noisily again. Meanwhile, Kev's trying to drum up interest in another poker night at his place.
Which is so pathetic.
Sadly, though,
Nobody wants to go.
Billy remembers that he's a vicar, and Dee Dee has a small child. So Kev goes off to ask Harry and one of the quads, but it turns out they're busy too.
And apparently he calls Adam to ask him, and Adam has plans with Alia, so...
No dice.
No dice. Or cards.
Abby tries to talk to Jack in Ina's Rolls, but he tells her to fuck off in no uncertain terms. Meanwhile, Kev's got another knockback for his poker night, so he decides to cancel it, so he can spend some time with Jack. But Jack's already made plans to loiter about a precinct in a hoodie, so you're on your own, old-timer. At the pub, Abby walks in on Eva and Carl laughing it up together, and there's an accusation of flirting, but Eva insists it was all innocent, and Carl was just telling humorous stories of people who don't settle their bills and expect something for nothing.
Right. Like Carl.
And other hilarious things.
Right, yes.
In the booth, Carl protests his innocence, but Abby has bigger fish to fry, and she tells him about the run-in with Jack. Carl's not interested.
He does not care at all.
And suggests that they get their hole again, but Abby's not in the mood because of all the things that she's been saying.
Right.
She goes to the bar where Tracy appears and starts to wind her up about being a junkie and a useless mother and a slag and fucking her husband's brother, and how Carl must be bored rigid listening to her moan about her tragic life. Abby's had enough and slugs Tracy across the jaw just as Kev comes in.
Abeh!
people are now telling me that this happens on the show.
Yeah.
So I don't miss it.
Right.
We do a podcast. I'm unlikely to miss it. But the best Abeh was on Wednesday.
Yeah, through
when
a
he's
door.
Through a door. It was,
Knock, knock, knock. Abeh!
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 Everyone shakes their heads and Eva throws Abeh and Tracy out. On the street, Tracy continues shouting abuse until Abeh literally falls on the ground sobbing. Tracy helps her up and offers her a ear. She's a good listener, she says. You're a terrible listener, says Abeh.
Right.
But still, she opens up. At
Yeah.
least you're not Toya is the best that Tracy can offer. But she and Abeh seem to make friends.
At least you don't wear any flowered tops and eat vegan food.
Mm-hmm. Despite being barred, they go back
And care about climate change.
Despite being barred, they go back to the pub and Maggie serves them, which undermines Eva cakes. Tracy doesn't think Kev has any chance of getting Alfie, especially now that he's turned his house into a casino, like that Will Ferrell movie. Oh, how we laughed.
Oh, how we laughed.
I did laugh at that. I quite liked that. I quite liked the premise of that.
Right. We can't remember the name of it. It was House.
House. It was called House.
It was The House.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And it starred Amy.
Polar.
Yes.
There was a gag that ran through it about a guy who cut off bits of people's limbs.
Yes.
That was funny.
Yes. It's in the game night.
It is. It's
echelon of
very much a
humor.
game
Yes.
night tag type
Right.
movie.
Yes. Where somebody gets chopped up with a propeller at an airplane and everybody laughs.
I liked game night. I haven't seen it in a while. I
It's
might
such a
watch
good
that
movie.
tonight. Tracy goes to see Kev to fight Abby's corner for her. She tells Kev that he's not a cruel person, and he says he was just trying to make Abby come to her senses, and he's in no shape to look after a kid. He wasn't really going for custody at all.
Yeah. He can barely take care of himself.
So Tracy takes us back to Abby, and this turns out to be the kick up the backside that Abby was needing. So Kev was right then. Carla is overwhelmed with emotion at the idea of him, Abby, and Alfie being a proper little family, but it's not a positive emotion. No. He's already sick of the domesticated life, so when Abby's back's turned, he's on the phone to a friend in Germany looking for a place to crash. Turns out there's one available.
Yes.
And that's how we end this week's episodes.
And a place to crash, he's very specific, just for himself.
Oh, just me. It'll just be me
me.
that's coming over.
Just me. So, that didn't take very long, did it?
This was always going to be the way, though, wasn't
Right.
it?
Yes. Yes. And it's
He gets a sniff of what this is actually going to be like.
right.
And suddenly the sheen of
Right.
Abby
The whole,
falters somewhat.
shagging your brother's missus shine is now off the plum.
Now, he fancied her before he knew that she was Kev's missus.
Yes, but that made it even better for
100%.
him. The whole illicitness of it. But now it's not illicit anymore, and now it involves him taking care of a small child.
That's not his.
Right.
That he doesn't seem to like very much.
No. He's a cutie patootie, though. Yeah. But again, it's just sad because neither one of Abby's options were great. Let's be honest. Kev was never great for Abby. Kev was always talking down to her. And whenever there was an argument, he would end it by reminding her she was a junkie.
Right.
So,
yeah, it was no bed of roses.
no,
I'm not gonna...
neither one of those options were great, but at least
She had some stability with him.
she had stability. She was, emotionally abused constantly, but it was stable.
And she had a job.
Right. She has none of these things now. And she's going to lose Carl, and everybody's going to laugh at her because they all told her this was coming.
Yep.
Everybody warned her. This guy's not great. He's not going to stick around.
Yeah, it was always going to end with her being on her own.
Yeah.
And I've got to say, I won't be surprised if she ends up back with Kev.
Unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Because Kev's going to take her back.
Oh, Kev would take her back in a flash.
Right, yes. Because he needs somebody to do the laundry.
Mm-hmm.
And for him to emotionally abuse.
Because if he can't be emotionally abusing somebody, he needs to play poker.
Right. And nobody wants to play poker with him because he's emotionally abusive.
Yeah. And they also know that he welches on his bets because he's still got his car.
That's right.
So that makes him untrustworthy.
Yeah. Even though it was Sally who said, nah, I don't want that car.
Yeah. I didn't expect Carla to be heading back to Deutschland, though. I thought there was going to be some...
Well, the more and more he's controlling the purse strings at the rape hotel, the more and more he's going to be able to pay whoever's threatening him back so that he won't be threatened anymore.
Debbie's still taking care of the finances. He said that this week. But he's trying to do whatever he can to...
Right. He's also saying everything needs
maneuver
to go
around that.
through me. Har, har, har.
Right.
Yeah.
'Cause I thought the James stuff... Surely the James stuff is going to come to light before he goes out of it.
Right.
And
Yeah.
actually,
Why has that not happened yet? That's what I want to know.
And I don't think he's gone out of it. I think he's too good at agitator. He's not bad to look at.
Yes, he is. He's terrible to look at.
Oh,
He is not attractive at all. And it's not helped by his obnoxious facial hair. And that he's not a good person.
oh, the fact he's a terrible person, sure. I don't know. I think he's a good villain of the piece. And remember, there was those question marks over whether his heart was in the right place with Debbie. I don't think it is in the right place.
No, it's not.
But he seemed to give the pretense of a caring brother, but it just begs the question why he came back, if it was entirely because of the money that he owed.
Well, and also to do this whole stealing your brother's wife storyline.
Yeah, but he didn't come back to do that.
No. But I think that's why the show brought him back. But no, he came back because his life was being threatened in Germany because he owes some mysterious person money.
Yeah. What did you think of the Tracy Abeh fight?
Tracy says something when they're sitting, you know, on the stoop talking about it afterwards. Tracy says something like, "It's no fun if you actually get upset." And that does not ring true to Tracy because she loves to get people upset. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
So for her to do this complete 180 so completely, I don't know, did not ring true. Although it was nice that the show remembered that they used to be friends.
Used to be good friends.
They used to love winding people up together.
And they also remembered that Tracy blackmailed the two of them.
Right, yeah. And also the show remembered that Tracy killed a man with a blunt object once upon a time.
God, that's an awful lot of remembering.
Yeah.
Someone's been on Tracy Barlow's Corripedia page by the looks of things.
And it's one of the nice things about the Driscolls is that it makes it organic for people to tell people about things that happened in the past on the show, to
Right.
remind everybody about stuff that happened in the past on the show.
Yeah. I quite liked the altercation. I think it's been coming for a while. It's been a while since Abby's punched anybody.
It's been a while since anybody's punched anybody.
Every time Abby punches somebody, Kev just appears
Right.
to say Abby.
And to say Abby condescendingly.
But everyone in the...
Which is hilarious because Kev also punches people.
Everyone, that's why they worked. But everyone in the pub shook their heads disappointedly at this scene, apart from Ryan,
Right.
who looked really invested in it, like this was some women's MMA that he was watching.
Right, yeah.
He was so into it.
And then it was hilarious later when, you know, Sean and Izzy are sitting in a booth talking about it with other people, and they're all excited when they came back in, like, oh, we haven't missed it after all. We're going to get to see round 2. And then round 2 turns out to be nothing, and they're very disappointed in this.
Yeah.
This is what Sean is good for. And I'm glad that they remember this. And even when he's not serving in the pub, he's there in the pub in a bright pink sweater with a black pocket, being snarky and getting the goss.
Yeah.
That's what he's there for.
I know that it hasn't been exactly the same since the week that the Driscolls arrived, but the pub does feel a bit busier now.
Yeah.
Which it has to, if the Driscolls are going to be the new landlords or landladies, and it's going to be successful.
Right.
Well, if it's going to be successful, there needs to be people in this pub. So they're putting more people in the pub. And
Right.
that's good because it does the thing that I enjoy when it flits between stories and seemingly in a single sweep
Right.
of a camera
Yes.
movement. I do like those things that are happening at the same time in the same place.
Yes.
It's a good part of the way that Corrie tells its stories.
Absolutely.
And I did like that Kev admitted that there was never really any meat to his threat of going
Nah.
for custody. He knew he wasn't going to get it.
Right.
He just did it to fucking annoy Abeh. And
Right,
maybe
to
get,
harass Abby and to manipulate her into being a better mother, which is terrible. And nobody should think that this is the right thing to do.
Right.
Because he's a horrible person. And Abby should not get back together with him.
Well, that was the week that was Coronation Street then.
Yes.
Helen, tell me, what was your moment of the week?
Oh my God, I had it in my head and now I can't remember what it was. Because we talked about it. Oh, what was it? Is it Nina being Nina? No, there was something else.
It wasn't David and Shona again, because that was last week.
No, we didn't do David and Shona last week.
Yeah, we did.
Did we? Oh.
The moment in the car, remember?
Oh, yes, the moment in the car. That's right. Maybe it is Nina. Maybe it's Nina, giving Uncle Roy a little bit of a hard time for having a lady friend.
Lady friend got mentioned like London.
Right. Lady friend.
Like 3 times.
Lady friend.
Yeah, I did enjoy that.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Nina being Nina for the first time in a while, having a little bit of a spark about her,
Right.
and enjoying the whole lady friend thing.
Yes.
That's our
Moment of the week.
Moment of the week.
oh, an interrupted moment of the week.
Yeah.
Your boring moment of the week? Is it Daniel reading a book in the pub?
Is it Daniel reading a book in the pub, or is it Brian and Roy arguing about on the road?
That was funny. It did go on a little too long,
It did
though.
slightly go on a little too long, but it was funny. But I can't give Daniel boring moment of the week for reading a book in the pub because he doesn't talk about the book.
No. And we don't see what the book is.
No, because he's holding it in a way that is very terrible for the
I
book.
hate people who read books like that.
Oh, it's so bad for the book. You imagine if somebody did that to you with your spine.
And we're
You wouldn't
talking,
like
of
it
course,
either.
of folding the left half round the back of the right half.
That's like somebody folding you so that your arms meet in the back.
This is why we have thumbs, people. The thumb is to be positioned in the gutter of the book to keep the book splayed open.
Right. Is it Brian? Is it Brian be getting a cookie, a biscuit for alphabetizing the books?
It's Brian caring about alphabetizing the books.
Yes.
Yeah, that's our...
Boring moment of the week.
Although it's so very Brian.
It is. And I actually quite liked it.
Yeah. And I'm still disappointed that it's not like a true little free library attached to the outside of Nina's rolls.
As someone who kept my 500 strong CD collection in alphabetic by artist, chronological within artist, I can appreciate a good bit of ordering. You've got to have a system.
I am also someone who enjoys ordering things around.
As well, I know. We don't have a Yay Mez section this week because the show is still 10 minutes away from being aired on ITV.
Correct.
So we'll have nothing to sway us one way or the other as
No.
far as this week's episodes are concerned. So
Yeah.
we'll have to go out on a limb here. Helen, how are you going to score this week's episodes out of 10?
It was still terrible, but it wasn't as terrible as last
It
week.
was better than last week, I would agree.
What did I give it last week?
I think maybe a 4 or something like that.
Yeah. 5.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 5.
Yeah.
A 5.5. Maybe slightly better. No, 5 because it's...
Because Little Free
Predominantly-
Library, good. Lady Friend, good. Todd and Theo shit, bad.
There's
Becky shit, bad.
grooming bad.
Bad.
There's a lot of dark shit going on that Yeah, 5. 5's all round then.
Yes.
All right, let's wrap this one up. This episode is brought to you with thanks to our friends of the podcast. Daisy, French Helen, Pickles, DT, Wendy, Noel, Canadian Helen, Christy, Shandy, English Victoria, Aurora Yvonne, Heather Westerfield, Russell Whiting, Jackie B, Brittany Porter, Laurie Anna, Tina, Stephen, Leah, Tara J, Fiona B, Canadian Jennifer, Josephina Tingy, Anne Greenwood, Trish R, Sarah Burbrick, Ali Q, Hunker Munker, Darren, the artist formerly known as Seal My Fridge, Pamela, Marge JT, Tom Ambrose, Christopher Anstey, Tara in LA, Joe T, Corey Dales, Matthew McKenny, Ozzy Alley, Welsh Emma, Matthew S, Rachel B, Calgarian Jennifer, Caroline and Amy Metcalf, and Catherine Montero. Thank you ever so much, people, for being friends of the podcast. We appreciate it an awful lot. If you've ever started a podcast about dog grooming, write in to let us know about it. We're the talkofthestreet@gmail.com. And we're at Corrie Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Threads and Blue Sky. Or you can reach us the old-fashioned way, the Talk of the Street, PO Box 12, Eaton Rapids, Michigan, 48827. Our spoiler show will be available shortly after this one. And in this month's classics, we're talking about episode 630, the one with the Christmas fancy dress party.
Yes, with Dennis as a Batman.
Get access to this exclusive content by becoming a friend of the podcast at ko-fi.com/the Talk of the Street, patreon.com/the Talk of the Street, or youtube.com/the Talk of the Street podcast. Check out voggle.co.uk for links to a merch store, YouTube channel and blog. And if you're so inclined, please leave a rating and a review on the iTunes or your podcast provider of choice. And be sure to check out our pop culture sister podcast of List of Lists.
I had dental work this week.
Thanks for making it to the end of another episode, and we will be back next week with more
Talk of the Street.
Talk of the Street.
Bye.
Cheerio.